Just Ask Mrs. Hurlbut. This is episode 40. I can't believe I'm saying those words.
Yeah.
And today I have a very special guest with me. This is Joe. Hi, Joe.
Hi. Hello.
Joe's a former student and a family friend. And I roped him in to be my next guest because I think you might find what he has to say very valuable. So I'm going to turn it over to Joe, and I'm just going to have you share with everybody who you are, how we know each other, and what you're doing with your life right now, because he's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feels like an understatement sometimes. Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, yeah, like you said, I was a former student of yours back in high school.
And you graduated what year?
2014.
That's right.
Gosh.
I know. Tell me about it.
Wow. Yeah. And obviously, I'm best friends with one of your sons and family friends. So, and I guess neighbor.
And neighbor.
Technically,
Yeah.
So, yeah, known you guys for a long time. Love your family.
And we love you right back. We love your family because the family he has. So talk to us
That's
about
right.
where you are personally and professionally at this moment.
Yeah, so right now I am a nurse. I am juggling 2 different jobs. Full time, I work at a hospital as an oncology nurse. So I work on specifically a solid tumor oncology unit. So anything except like blood cancers, you name it, that's us. So
Wow.
I do that full time. And then part-time, a couple days a week, I am a nurse at a dermatology clinic, kind of like the nurse there and like the surgical nurse that oversees like the ambulatory surgical center. So
Wow.
doing that,
I
a lot
don't
of
think
work.
I knew that you did 2 different.
Yeah. So
And then there's more.
there is more. My wife and I just welcomed our first child. We have a 4.5-month-old baby boy now.
Yay.
It's crazy. Time is flying by so fast.
And the Hurlbuts are big fans of both his wife and his child.
And he's a big fan of you guys. Yeah, he loves it. I don't know. I mean, without getting long-winded on that, everybody always said like it goes by so fast, enjoy it. And they couldn't be more right. Like it's crazy how fast he's growing, and every day, so some days I don't really see him because if I'm working in the hospital, by the time I come home, he's asleep because bedtime's getting earlier and earlier. So if I work, let's say 2 or 3 days in a row at the hospital, then I might not see him for like a few days. So then it's crazy when I do, and I'm like, oh my God, you look so different just from like yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't that part of parenthood? Is that learning to sacrifice? Did you imagine that you were going to have to sacrifice as much as you do? Or were you prepared?
That's a good question. I think a little bit of both. I think I've always kind of been drawn toward that. Like, in a way, I feel like I kind of crave responsibility.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Where did you get your work ethic? Because you're doing a lot for... By the way, he's 30, right?
Yes, so I just celebrated my 30th birthday last week.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. My wife just turned 30. So we are 30. We bought our first home a little over a year ago. So we have a home. We're newish homeowners, new parents. Not even married for 2 years. So kind of all like the big life stages kind of happen within like a 1 to 2 year span.
And when I teach my students that the most important life decisions that you make are typically in your 20s. That's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
Spouse, parenthood,
Yeah.
career, and home ownership.
Yeah, all really quick.
Really quick.
All really quick. So...
Did you know? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you because you have a lot to say.
I know too much. Probably too
No,
much.
I'll just sit here and listen.
Well, I guess back to your question really quick. The work ethic, I think it's my family. Like my dad is an immigrant from El Salvador. So his parents came over here and, he grinded it out to create a future for us. And so did my grandparents for him, right? And then my mom is just a workaholic. Like she refuses to stop working. Like she's done multiple different things and gone back and forth just because she loves working. So I definitely credit them with my work ethic. And then my brothers were pretty good inspirations too,
Do you find that the work ethic you have is not the norm for your age group? Or do you surround yourself with people that think that way and work that way?
No, yeah, I think I surround myself with people that kind of know what they're trying to do, or I guess are responsible. I do feel like, kind of from what I'm seeing, is the younger generation. I want to be
You
careful.
want to be careful.
I know,
Be diplomatic.
Very diplomatic. It's just different. I feel like the work ethic is just a little bit different, and I think that has to do with a lot of different things.
Absolutely, and that's why I asked you,
AI,
because you represent, you're right on the cusp of the generation before.
Yeah.
And
literally the cutoff of millennial. I think. Yeah.
And after that, there was a real shift, and yes, there were factors.
Yeah.
There was the millennial parent, first of all, but there's also COVID was massive.
I know.
And depending on where you were in your life, that impacted it.
Yeah.
So that was why I asked you about the work ethic. I would love to ask you, if we can work backwards a little bit,
of course,
how you met your wife. Like, how far back do you and McKenna go?
Yeah, very, very wild, kind of. So your son was good friends with her before I even knew her, right? My best friends in high school knew her because they all grew up together, and so I didn't know her at all until we both graduated college in 2018. We were living back home, and one of our friends invited me to go to a party at her best friend's parents' house. So I walked in, and I had known of her, about her, but I just I saw her and I was like, well, gotta meet you. And ever since, we
and the
hit
feeling
it off
obviously
right away.
was mutual.
Yeah, I would like to think so. Yeah.
And then when we all heard, knowing both of you, were like, oh, that's such a great fit.
Yeah, I think it worked out pretty well.
Do you think the timing was important? Like, had you met her 4 years earlier, would it have been a different scenario?
Yeah, I think so.
And why do you think that?
It's because of college, right? There's so much up in the air, either during college, and again, that's not for everybody, and not everybody does the college route and whatnot, and that's amazing, because I think you need to do what you feel like is really best for you. But for us, it was going to college, and there's just always so much uncertainty that I think it helped once we were graduated and kind of we were looking towards the future of, okay, what do we want to do? We have this new stage in life we need to transition to. I think we found each other at the perfect time where we could literally help each other through it. It was really cool because we've been there for each other in going back to school and training for our now careers, because we were doing something totally different, and so it's really cool to see both of us have watched each other grow and change, but large in part because of the support we have for each other.
Well, I think that's important to note that if you don't fall in love in the traditional high school or college setting, that when you do graduate and that pool gets really massive, to really lean on the groups of people that so you're continually surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you didn't end up on any apps, and I'm not saying apps are a bad. I'm assuming you didn't, but but apps are not a bad resource. I teach about them in my class. But if you're really looking for like-minded people and you don't want to do an app, but you've already graduated college, seek out clusters of people that are like-minded so that they can introduce you to their friends.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Similar interests, and also just every day I'm realizing more and more how small the world it is. It really is.
It really is. So be nice to everybody.
Yeah. Yes. Everybody. You never know. But yeah.
So tell me about your career path.
Sure. How
did it evolve into nursing? Having known you as an 18-year-old, I can't say I'm surprised that that's where you ended up, but it kind of wasn't about face to the Joe that I met back in the beginning. So let's talk about what led you here.
And honestly, in retrospect, if I do think about it, I do think high school did have a big part of it. We were talking a little bit how I kind of found my faith in vocation in high school. I pivoted, right? I hate to say it, but I feel like in the first half of high school, I was trying to be this, I guess, jock type, right? And then I don't know what it was.
Did you say it was a false persona, first of all? Which is what a lot of people tend to do. It's always the first 3 years of school. It's so strange. You wake up senior year, I'm like, oh, I know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't realize that 3 years ago.
I know. It is very interesting. So yeah, I do think so. And then I think just in wanting to get involved, because I just honestly enjoy people. I enjoy working with people, meeting people, talking to people. So that's where I kind of pivoted to more clubs. And, we had this, it was a Catholic high school. So I joined, our Catholic club, I guess.
Group,
yeah, the faith group there.
And I was teaching you at that time. I got to witness all that.
I know. And so really dove into that pretty heavy, which was nice, and then student council and stuff. So I honestly think that's probably where the seed was planted.
The seed of service?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I go to college, and then basically restarted, not knowing what I wanted to do. Honestly, so high school I wasn't a bad student, I don't think. I probably could have took it a little more seriously, but my grades were fine and everything was fine. College, the first year, terrible student. Just like, and just being honest,
Which happens a lot.
Yeah, it was.
Because you have all the freedom. No one's marking you absent.
Exactly.
No one's telling you to go to bed.
Exactly. So
No one telling you to get up.
Exactly. So it was an interesting year. And then by the end of that year, I think it's kind of that ingrained work ethic in me where it's like, okay, well, we can't keep doing this, so let's figure something out. So then I really started, and I was undeclared, so then I really started to kind of brainstorm what I might like to do. Ironically, actually, there was a semester where I changed my major to be like secondary education, because I thought maybe I wanted to be a high school teacher, specifically English. So I did that, and I decided to minor in English. And I was told actually it'd be a really good fit, and I think, I did well in the classes and everything, but I don't know what it was. There was a little bit more introspection, and I think conversations with, my parents and people around me were like, well, do you really want to be a teacher? And I'm like, yes, but is there maybe something else? I think I've been attracted to like the mind and body and how things work. So I was like, okay, yes, you're right. So maybe what I could pivot to was psychology. So I decided to do that because I was very fascinated by the mind and psychology. And
how many times did you change your major? This is important.
Yeah.
So not everybody knows what they want to do.
Twice.
Okay.
But so I was undeclared, and then I changed my major, and then I changed my major again. And at that point, it kind of does get dicey because you have to meet with the counselor and be like, well, hey, if I do this again, can I still graduate in 4 years? Which, if you don't graduate in 4 years, fine, take as long as you need to. But for financial reasons and stuff like that, it would be ideal. So I was able to, but I had some catching up to do, so I just went all in on that.
And you still graduated in 4?
Yeah. Wow. Graduated in 4, and then I completed everything for psychology, and I loved it. I loved what I did.
So psych was not the major you ended up with, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yes, so I have a bachelor's in arts in psychology. That's when I graduated in 2018. That's what I came out with.
And then another about face. Did you get a job first?
So at the same time, I was kind of preparing what life after college would look like in terms of a job. My dad was working at a hospital in IT, but he knew basically somebody who coordinated like internships, student internships, and internships are always great, and try as many as you want and can, because it gives you a better idea of what a field of study or career might look like.
And that was after you graduated?
So no, I started it during summer, yeah.
Nice.
So summer of junior year, I started my first internship at that hospital. And then basically every break I went back and I kept doing that internship, and it was a research internship. So I did that because I thought, okay, I like psychology a lot. I like working with people. So I want to be a clinical psychologist. But that path, is more schooling and education and generally a PhD. So I knew I needed a research background. So I started as a research intern in maternal fetal medicine and OBGYN. Yeah, because it was just kind of available, and it was like these studies. So that was very interesting because it's not something I ever would have saw myself doing or working in. So, but it was very fascinating and very cool. But the best part was working with the patients that were coming in, because it was clinical research. So I kept doing that, and then as things changed, basically the fields changed. So I was lucky enough to get a full-time job with that group upon graduating. So I was a clinical research associate, but we kind of did different things. We started like pulmonology, lung studies, and critical care medicine, so like ICU stuff. So the studies went there, and then we did stuff in like the emergency room, and then...
And this is all before the age of 21? Ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because 2016, yeah. So like 20, I think 19 or 20 is probably when I got my first internship, and then I just kept doing that. So I did that for about 8 years, in a couple different areas, and it ended in research of like gastrointestinal disorders and cancer. So I feel like that kind of sparked it, along with a kind of a personal experience with cancer, having a good friend of ours pass away. It seemed like cancer was just kind of calling my name, weirdly enough.
That's what you call a calling.
Yeah. But the research itself too was cool because it brought me face to face with doctors, nurses, patients, like in the hospital setting. So that's when everything changed, and it was like, okay, well, let's find something else because research is kind of fizzling out. I applied to PhD programs in psychology, honestly, haphazardly, and that was fine because I think because I didn't give my all in those applications, after I applied, I realized, well, then clearly this isn't something.
That's a sign.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's clearly not a passion or something I really do want to
So at what
pursue.
point did you pivot yet again?
I took some time off to kind of think. So I just did the research. I probably took 2 years of just doing that while thinking, okay, if research isn't going to be the long-term career or position, what could I do? I started falling in love with the clinical aspect, and so I figured, okay, well then there's either nursing, med school is out of the option, or yeah.
It's another 8 years.
Yeah, exactly. So it was either nursing or like a physician's assistant. So I looked into those. I kind of weighed the pros and cons in my opinion. And
That's called discernment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I decided on that, and
were you employed while you were at school, or did you?
I tried for a
full-time?
little bit, but it was an accelerated master's program in nursing, and so it was basically a full-time job.
It just takes up your whole time.
So I did 1 quarter working full-time, and then I had to step away, which is where I go back to crediting my wife to being like amazing, because she just basically kind of stepped it up. Yeah, she got a second job for a little bit, which I hated to have her do
that's
that.
what it's all about.
I know, and so
and it's short term.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm eternally grateful to her for that, and just kind of
So what would you say after having everything you just described? You described a lifetime, but it really is a decade.
Yeah.
So what would you say to your high school self who had no idea that this is where he was going to land? Like looking back at that little 17, 18-year-old kid. What would you say? Like what worked, what didn't work?
I think keeping an open mind, for sure, and also trying not to rush it to settle into something. Even if you're pressured by whatever, parents, family, for society, whatnot, if they're pressuring you into making your decision right away, nobody
colleges
knows.
want you to come in with a major now.
Exactly.
And I keep saying, I don't think that's...
No, it shouldn't be.
The rule.
It shouldn't. I think it's like beneficial to take that first year, honestly, and like
it should be.
It's a big growing experience, and like you have to adapt so quickly.
Right.
For a lot of people, moving away, like we mentioned, all the different reasons. So I think not wanting to rush into anything, and realizing like it'll work out. So that's that. At the end of the day, there's always been a part of my faith whatever happens, it'll work out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of a big driving factor that I go back to.
Do you think that it was a priority for you to focus on building your personal resume alongside your professional? Like it sounds like you gave just as much energy and intentionality to this beautiful budding relationship with your wife as much as you did to your career. Because many people will say, let me get my career established first. And I say there's nothing wrong with doing that at the same time.
And you know what? That's a great point, because I think in the beginning of this journey, when I was trying to figure out, okay, what is the long-term career going to look like? For a little bit, I think I tried to prioritize that. You know, I knew I had this relationship
so
established.
it's on the back burner.
Right. But then, I don't know what it was. You know, it's conversations I've had with my wife and everything, and it's like, why? There's no reason to put, you know, one life on the back burner to focus on another one. You know, you can do both simultaneously, and I think it helps.
It's beneficial because you've now got that support, this built-in support. I always say there's nothing wrong with starting a relationship at ground zero, so you grow together. Yeah. How old were you guys when you met?
Oh man, must have been like 22.
22.
I think.
So that's young.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people have the opportunity to meet people that young. But when you do meet young, when you do marry in your 20s, you have your whole life ahead of you, and you're growing both professionally and personally at the same time, so that when you are 30 and you're thinking, boy, it'd be nice to have a family, you actually have one.
Yeah, and again, so much credit to my wife. She
shout out to McKenna.
Yeah, honestly, because she's so sure of herself, I feel like, and she's known what she's wanted for so long. She always knew she wanted a family, and she knew she didn't want to wait too long. For me, I was fine with waiting a little bit. I was, I think I did kind of occasionally fall into the trap where it's like, okay, well, I do want to be a little more established, because life is just so expensive these days.
I know,
you know? So
it is.
That's why I'm like, well, hold on, let's keep building ourselves up, you know, and establishing this foundation for that when the time does come for a family, we're prepared. And then the advice has always been so true. You're never ready. You're never prepared.
Right.
So do it.
Yeah. Don't keep pushing it off.
I know. And I'm very grateful that I was swayed by her to make the leap, because I'm very grateful we did.
Well, and you got to give yourself some credit, because you chose your spouse very wisely.
Very well. I'm a
very smart move.
Very lucky man, very blessed man.
Okay, before we wrap this up, tell me about the future. What does the future look like for you and your family at the ripe old age of 30?
I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what. Our son, he's just the biggest blessing, and he's been way too easy for us. So now we're spoiled, and we're like, all right, we gotta have like 10 more kids.
I love the way you're talking. Keep them coming.
Yeah. So definitely, you know, another kid or two for sure. It's ironic, kind of, because, you know, this career I'm in, it's the second career, and it hasn't even been 2 years. I've only been a nurse for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
So it's all still very new to me, and I'm very passionate, and I do love it very much. But there's a lot of different things you can do. What I'm trying to...
like work with your schedule?
Yeah, and just as a nurse, honestly, it is a great profession. Like,
many avenues you can
so many different things, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think in the immediate future, what I'm kind of trying to work on is building myself up, like the mental fortitude, honestly, and healthy habits, good habits, because it's not easy what I'm doing, and you know, there's a lot of burnout in nursing, and I could see how that could happen to me pretty quickly.
You're not living just for yourself anymore.
Right.
Yeah, people counting on you, so you got to stay healthy.
Exactly. So that right now is the immediate kind of challenge, and something I'm trying to work through. So hoping, you know, the spark just stays for a while. You know, I don't know. I love oncology. I do. It's very rewarding, and so that is something I see myself doing. You know, I could see myself doing for the rest of my life. But
the beauty is, if you want to make a change, you can make a change, because the foundation is there. Yeah. You've got everything you need to succeed. Yeah. And that's the beauty of having your education or your skill set, having your family. The world is now yours.
It is.
And you get to choose as a family what's best for you guys, which is awesome.
And that's I just think the future right now is enjoying it, honestly. You know, it really is, because like I said, he's growing up so fast, we're changing so fast, things are happening so fast that it's really easy to get carried away and not, you know, appreciate it all in the moment. So I think that's my plan, is to enjoy it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing it well. You're doing it with success. That's why I asked you here.
Thank you.
I don't know a lot of young men your age who have got it so dialed in. So I'm hoping that you will be an inspiration to our listeners, and maybe that will help them with their timetables to realize you can get a lot done in 10 or 12 years.
Yeah,
if you have a good work ethic and you set your mind to something and you're really intentional with what you do.
Yeah.
And put yourself out there, whether it's career or your personal life, because
absolutely.
you get to take full credit for both of those.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And take the leap. One thing I will just say, though, is that, like, nobody's got it figured out. Nobody. We're all winging it.
Yeah.
The adults in their middle ages.
Lifelong learners.
Exactly.
And
always
if
be a
you're not,
lifelong learner.
Yeah,
always.
if you're not, then you're set in your ways and there's no growth mindset there.
And you're fooling yourself if you think you got it all figured out, and anybody else that tells you they do is too, because we're all just winging it and we're doing the best we can.
I say every day I learn more from my students, I think, than they learn from me.
And that's amazing.
So thank you, Joe.
No, thank
Good
you.
job.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
I don't even know what the topic of this episode is, but we'll figure it out. But thank you, Joe, for being here. And thanks, everyone, for listening. Please leave your comments, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.